If you want, it's Emily Fox. Today's video is going to be my March book haul. I wanted to share with you the books I've accumulated in the last couple of weeks, and I'm excited. As always, this is a very, very mixed book haul. There's a little bit of everything. Surprisingly, I found a couple fantasy books. I feel like I struggled to find secondhand ones, and then there's also a few that I purchased. You know what? Let's start with the ones I've purchased new. The first one was highly recommended by so many of you, and I cracked and I bought it. This is Her Majesty's Royal Coven. I've been mentioning how much I like witches, and I've been told by so many of you in the comment section that this is a kind of cozy, modern witches take, and listen, that's all I needed to hear, let's be real. It's also very floppy, which makes me very happy, so I got it. I believe this is the first book in the trilogy, and anything wholesome with witches, I'm all in. So this is the first one I picked up. Very excited. The second one, I finally got it. I decided to order the French edition of I Who Have Never Known Men, so Moi qui n'ai pas connu les hommes, which took a while to find because it's sold out absolutely everywhere. I would like to believe that it's us because literally right after I started raving about the book, it disappeared, and I'm so glad it's finally back. So I bought a French edition because it was written in French and I want to reread it. I never reread books. Like, I don't think you understand. I never reread books. I think in the last 6.5 years on Booktube, I've reread like 2 books. So this is going to be the third one, and I can't wait. It's not too long. Like, it's like 200 something pages. I don't know if I'm going to feel any differently about it in French, but I'm excited to see if it affected the prose in any way, shape, or form. But you're gonna keep hearing me. I mean, you've already probably been hearing me rave about this nonstop, and I will keep doing so until everyone reads it because, well, maybe not everyone, but it's so good. I've been really obsessed with these kind of bleak dystopian world where you're following especially older female characters. In this case, you're following at first a young woman. She and 39 other women are imprisoned underground. They don't know how they got there. They barely remember their life prior to this, especially her since she's the youngest one there. And one day something happens and the door is left open and they escape. And that's all I'm going to say. But I feel like for me, this is really when the story really starts. And in theory, probably shouldn't have worked for me as much as it did, but I was obsessed. I'm still obsessed, and I'm going to be rereading this next month because next month is my birthday. So I feel like what better way to celebrate than to reread a book that you loved, especially if it's very depressing. But seriously, I really am happy I finally got my hands on this. I will be rereading it. So excited. Can't recommend this enough. Thank you so much to Kathleen for getting me this book from my Amazon wish list. This is A Psalm for the Wild Bill by Becky Chambers. This is, I mean, one of my favorite author easily, but this is the only book I didn't own by her, like a physical copy of, so I'm very happy to finally have it. This book is so pretty. All of her books are super chill, cozy sci-fi where you're following a non-binary monk trying to figure out a meaning for their life, and they strike a friendship with a robot. It's just super cute conversation in the forest, and book 2 was excellent too. Can't recommend this duology enough. Hopefully it won't be a duology. I would love for her to bring out more, but I don't think she will. I feel like the ending of book 2 is pretty, it's pretty well ended, but it's super cute. It's nice. I laughed a couple times, especially book 2. But yes, thank you so much. So happy to have a copy. Also, thank you for the cat food. The cat is doing really well. She's very, very pregnant. Ooh, before I forget, I have 2 books that I have pre-ordered, but I haven't received yet. The first one is A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. This one came out February 28th. So whenever I have it, I shall put it on my shelf. I'm currently reading the advanced reader copy of it, so I am very excited to figure out how it's going to end. I'm like 50% into it, but so far, really, really good. Probably even better. This is the prequel to Priory of the Orange Tree, by the way. It's probably even better than the first book, so far at least, but adult fantasy, a little gay, some dragons. It's great. It's really great. The next book will come out any day now. Who knows when I will receive it, but it is The Kind Worth Saving by Peter Swanson. Once I get it, I will be reading it and maybe vlog it depending on if it goes well or not. But this is follow-up to The Kind Worth Killing by the same author, which is one of the first books that I read actually when I started this channel, and I really loved it. It was one of my favorite like mystery thriller. I've recommended it nonstop, and ever since I've tried most of his books and I didn't really care for most of them, so this is my last shot for him. Hopefully it goes well, but yes, it's coming out. I think it's March 7th. 8. It should be out whenever this video goes up, but yeah, we'll see. Thank you so much to Book of the Month for sponsoring this video. If you don't know, they are an online service for readers. Their mission is to promote new and emerging authors and help you find books that you will love. I was able to choose 2 books that are coming out that I wanted to read. Their team vets hundreds of books each month and give their subscribers a choice of new and early release books. You pick the one you're interested in and you get it sent to you. They also have a great skip policy, so if for whatever reason you're not interested, that money can easily skip and you won't get charged. So the 2 books I got to choose, the first one is Long Women by Victor Laval, which I read a book by him a couple years ago called, I think it was The Ballad of Black Tom, and it was a short little, very strange book that I really enjoyed, and I've been meaning to read something else by him, yet I had yet to pick anything. And when I saw this was an option, I was like, yes, absolutely. In this one, you're following this woman and she is traveling in the US. This is horror, by the way, horror, like historical fiction horror. And she's traveling with a trunk, and whenever it's open, people disappear. We'll see what's gonna happen. But the other one was like a urban fantasy horror, and I feel like horror is such a tricky genre for me, so I'm hoping that this one will work for me. And then the other one is probably gonna be one of the ones that everyone wants to read. Let me know if you want a review and I will put it higher on my TBR. But this is The Adventures of Amina Al-Sirafi, which adult fantasy following pirates, and I think there's magic too. And I mean, just that cover, I mean, look at this. I wanted to own this partially because of the cover, but I've been really wanting to get back to fantasy. I haven't been reading as much lately, so I think that this big chunky pirate one is going to be the one for me. So yes, pick that one up. As always, all the information will be in the description box, and you can use the coupon code CHEERS to get your first book for $9.99. So let's go through the books that I found either used bookstore or library sales. I didn't pick a ton of them, but I feel like I got some quality ones. First thing, I got 2 books by the same author. I read The Devotion of Suspect X last year by him. He's a Japanese author, and I saw Malice and screamed a little because I really wanted to try something else by him because it was so unique, and I'm curious to see if it's going to be a one-hit wonder or if I'm going to find more favorites. I really struggle again with detective murder mysteries. They can be really hit and miss, but this one sounded cool because you're following it's the murder of a famous best-selling author, and he actually just moved from Japan to Vancouver, Canada, and they're trying to investigate, trying to figure out what happened. So that's the first one. And the other one, I picked it up and I was so confused because you can see the wholesome vibes from the cover, and turns out it is possibly wholesome, kind of magical realism. So it's not really at all like is detective books, which I thought you only had, so made me curious. I got it. This one sounds like a drama. You're following 3 delinquents that are hiding in an abandoned general store, and throughout the night they keep receiving letters through the mail slot of past owner of the store asking for advice, and like it changes their life overnight, like make them a better people. I don't know. It sounded cute, and I feel like I need to balance all the horrible stuff that I read with something a bit cuter. So I also like to give magical realism a chance. I'm trying to find sections of magical realism that will work for me, and that sounded cute. So maybe a summer read for me, and then not summer read. Or I do like actually detective stuff, mystery thrillers during the summer. 2 summer reads, maybe. I kept hearing about The Vegetarian, but I feel like every time I hear about it, I have no idea what people are saying. Nobody wants to tell me what it is about because it's going to ruin it. It's fairly short. It's like not even 200 pages. But ever since I read that other book that was really gross about people eating human meat, but this one, the female character doesn't want to eat meat anymore. Anyway, people compare them. I'm really curious. I need to know. And I need to also be that person that doesn't tell you what it is about. But I think it's just like a social commentary through the fact that she decides to stop eating meat. So we'll see what happens, but not too short, not too big. And I like a good mystery, and again, horror. I've picked up a couple horror books this month. So speaking of which, actually, let me go through the other horror since we're here. This one is called Devil House, and it's definitely giving horror vibes. Again, I feel like horror can be so hit and miss, but in this one you're following an author. I think it's, again, a best-selling author. I don't know if it's like mystery thrillers. I'm assuming it is, but the author gets a chance to move in and live in this haunted house. I'm a sucker for haunted houses. I know it's been done a million times, but I love them, at least in theory. Again, horror can be so hit and miss. I feel like the reviews were not super positive, but again, horror, I don't really care. I'm gonna give it a shot. I'll let you know how it goes, but a few fantasy, surprisingly. The first one, look how fantasy this looks. I feel like this is a fantasy book. I feel like I struggle to see anything other than just mass market paperbacks when I look at used bookstores for fantasy, but this is the Helm of Midnight. And this one you have thieves, heist, magic, and I believe there's like a serial killer. But I think this is the serial killer, like through magic. It's being used to kill people, but it might not be random. And like, listen, it sounded cool. I really want to get back to fantasy, so we'll try this one. The other one is to shame myself a little bit. I like to tease myself that way. Whenever I see a book that reminds me that I should be reading another book on my shelf, I get it. This is The Witness of the Dead by Catherine Addison. I actually own The Goblin Emperor by the same author, and it's on my shelf, and that's why I got it, because I'm like, oh yeah, I really need to read that. It's been on my shelf for years and years and years. In my defense, it is an adult fantasy, but it used to be a standalone, and then I think a second book came out, and I really resent when that happens. Sometimes it's worth it because you really love the world, but I feel like generally speaking, series are too long. That's beside the point. But this book, I believe, is part of Same World. I don't know if I need to read the other ones first. Please let me know. Either way, I have it. It's not too big. It's fantasy. And again, I'm trying to get back to fantasy this year. I was going to say, I'm hoping fantasy is going to be, you know, my genre this year. It's not looking like that right now, but we can turn things around, right? So this is the one. And then I have a children's book. I don't read a ton, but I can resist. Ella Enchanted. I watched a movie, never read this growing up, but I feel like worst case scenario, I'll just give this to my little library not too far from my house. Kids will be happy. But I really like the idea of reading the book and then watching the movie. I have a couple books like that on my shelf, so I think I might do a challenge like this. Put them in a jar, pick a couple, and then just compare and see which version I like better. Because sometimes, I mean, generally speaking, I do prefer the book, you know, this channel, but sometimes, we'll see. I have two nonfictions. The first one is The Edge of the Sea, which I've been trying to read more nonfiction. I like the idea of like sampling different subgenres of nonfiction and figure out what I like, and I thought this sounded fun. I feel like the idea of being like a marine biologist as a kid sounded really appealing, and I don't know if I would like that or not, but I cracked because this book has a bunch of pictures, and I like the idea of learning more about sea creatures, the ones that are like close to the coast. It sounds like she stayed in like the Atlantic Ocean. I'm on a quest, like I've been mentioning, to try more nonfiction, so that sounded fun. Marine biologist, I will be living through her for this book. And then I got this one. This is The Feminine Mystique, which this was written in the 60s. I like the idea of reading older work and see how things have changed or not since then. Feminist book, and it's following how women were pushed back into the homes after the Second World War, whenever they had to work outside the home, and then, you know, after the whole movement of trying to get that back home so men could have the jobs back. I'm explaining this badly, but you know what I mean. And I think it's interesting because I feel like we're getting this movement again, the fact that there seems to be this romanticization of stay-at-home wife, and I just think it's interesting. I want to look into it, and I saw it, I grabbed it. Hopefully I liked it, but again, we'll see how well it has aged. So this was my quick little book haul. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thumbs up, subscribe. Please let me know in the comment section which one of these you would like me to review and read soon. Like I said, I think that next month I'm going to read this for my birthday. I probably should prioritize this one and the other fantasy book from Book of the Month. So these are kind of the ones that are high on my TBR, plus the ones I've pre-ordered and have yet to receive. But I'm very, very willing to read the other ones if you want to review quickly. And let me know in the comment section, what's the last book you've purchased? I want to know. Thumbs up, subscribe. I will be putting more videos on the screen that I recommend you check out, including my last vlog and then my March TBR if you want to see the books I'm currently planning on reading this month. And I will see you in an upcoming video very soon. Bye. Can you hear her? Hi. Say thank you for the food. She's getting so chunky. You can't really tell she's black. Camera won't pick it up properly, but she has a big belly.